The top of the hill to the bottom of the hill, and at the very bottom was our tank house, a tank house. So all the trees were tapped, and always a cluster of trees was connected with these blue pipelines. They would feed into the bigger pipe, like this one here, and as you go down the tree, the pipe gets bigger and bigger because more and more sap is being fed. And every single tree that is tapped in this sugar bush ends up in one tank at the bottom of this hill. So instead of going from tree to collect your sap, the farmer comes up with his sap truck to the one tank and picks up all the sap there, which is a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
On top of the gravity system, we also have a vacuum pump. The vacuum pump creates a lower pressure on the outside of the tree, and that helps with the flow of the sap out of the tree. We can actually collect more sap that way, and it keeps our lines running smoothly. When you tap in the tree, it's not only water, sap coming out of the tree, there's also a lot of air in it. So our new lines have a wet line and a dry line. So the sap comes up here, sap and air, and then the sap will go into the bottom line and the air will travel in the upper line because it will separate automatically. And then again, our flow through the lines is faster and better, and it's all about speed and gathering as quickly as much as possible as you can. Inside a maple tree, sap is everywhere. And we just drill a teeny tiny hole. We go about 5 centimeters into a tree. So the tap hole is a little bit deeper than my spile. This part of where I tap the tree, this is called a spile. And just what comes up right in front of my spile, that's sap. That's what we collect. And all the sap that is left in the tree, so most of it, is still there for the tree because it's basically the food that the tree, all the nutrients travel in the sap. It's the blood, it's the food. So we only take, it's like when you go for a needle at the doctor's office. This is as much as we take. And all the rest is there for the tree to stay healthy, to feed it, to make it grow, and to put out the leaves in the springtime. As soon as a tree is big enough, we can tap it. It takes about 30 years before in a bush. And then we can tap it every year. We just every year drill a new hole into it. The old hole heals within 1 year. It used to take 2 to 3 years with our old spiles, and as you see, the new ones are so much smaller. So this only takes 1 year for inside the tree, and then another year for the bark to grow over top. If you look at this tree, can I just go there? Yeah, no problem. Here, this is an old tap hole. 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 You can spot them. This is probably last year's tap hole. It's already healed on the inside, but the bark has not closed yet properly on the outside. So every year, because sap is everywhere, we just find a different spot. We don't want to hit that scar tissue that is under an already used tap hole. You could tap it again, but you have a little bit less sap flow in it, and we of course want to get as much as we can out of our tree here. Yeah. One tap hole in one season will roughly give us 40 liters of sap in an average season. Does any of you remember how much syrup will that give us?
10 liters.
40 liters of sap?
10 liters?
One.
Oh.
Yeah. So this tree with one tap hole in one season, we hope to get 1 bottle of maple syrup, 1 liter.
Wow.
You guys had work. Yeah, and then you think you have people. In the old days, actually, when I started working here, the lines looked like that. Those were the old lines. They were okay with the freezing and thawing of the season, but they were not okay in the summertime. The UV rays would destroy them.
Yeah.
So these old lines had to be taken down at the end of each season and then put back up at the beginning of each season. Huge job. Because we have 5,000 tap holes here on this farm. So we have lines all the way from here to Hamilton if you would stick them in one line. Yeah?
Wow.
So nowadays, with the new plastics that are around, this stays on all year. The only thing at the end of the season is we take the spile out of the hole, flush the system, and we're done. And then in the beginning of the season, actually right now, last week they started tapping. Right now the guys are out and are tapping trees. And then as soon as we have temperatures at night, freezing, and during the day plus temperatures. So when the days are warm, then the sap will run in the trees and we collect sap. And you actually can see it moving through the lines on those days.